The second policy dialogue under the title Southern Africa Towards Inclusive Economic Development took place today. Speakers sought to answer the question, in the era of climate change, how can South Africa reimagine its infrastructure development to foster an inclusive, sustainable growth model? Let's get some answers now from Georgina Ryan, Director of Environmental Economics and Economic Policy at the National Treasury. Georgina, thank you so much for speaking to us on Newsnight this evening. Can you first off tell us about the importance of today's dialogue and the agreement being signed?
Certainly, Andy, and thank you for having me this evening. Today we had the policy dialogue on infrastructure in the context of climate change, and this was hosted through the SA Tide program, which does research for policy making. This is delivered in conjunction with the United Nations World Institute for Economic Development Research, and with UNIWIDA we've got donors from the UK FCDO and more recently the EU that have committed €2 million to advancing the research that needs to be done to ensure that we have a sustainable future. So under Workstream 5 of the SA Tide program, which focuses on water, energy and food in the context of climate change, we take an interdisciplinary approach to understanding the needs of the various sectors in our economy. Recently, we published a report on the water sector, and we looked at what it would mean to actually invest in water to meet our sustainable development goals, the SDGs, and our national planning goals to 2030, taking long-term views from 2030 to 2050 and determining what those investment needs will be. So if we look at the water sector and the reports that looks at what those needs are, we actually have an annual requirement of more than 250 billion rand that we should be investing in water to have a sustainable water sector. And if we take that up to 2050, we should be investing more than 7 trillion rand in our water sector. It's this kind of research that we're doing with the National Planning Commission, the Presidential Climate Commission, and the Development Bank of Southern Africa to really set our economy on a sustainable path.